Hey everybody, Mr. Regan here, and today we're going to be looking at how you're going to be using our modeling tool today to begin practicing how we're going to be showing our understanding of how different force strengths can affect velocity in different ways. The activity we're about to get into is going to be a practice, so we're going to break down how to use the modeling tool, its features, and kind of how to accomplish your goals of inferring what's going on in the model to really practice our understanding of these two big ideas. So before we get into how you're going to be using the modeling tool, let's go ahead and break down what features we have and what we're looking at within the modeling tool. So when you get to the modeling tool in the Amplify page, it's going to look like this. Okay, now you'll notice a few things about our modeling tool here. Number one, we have these three boxes at the top. We have a before force, a during force, and an after force. We have objects in this bottom box here. We have some velocity features and some force features. We also have some reset, undo, and redo buttons at the top. So first and foremost, these objects here are typically movable, if you notice, and can be changed in any way you want. And if you want to ever restart or undo, you can always hit the undo and it will undo your most recent movement or change you made to the tool. If you want to reset it completely, you can as well. Now, what you'll notice is that in your modeling tool, we're going to leave the objects in the before, during, and after boxes alone. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to move these velocity force features here to kind of complete a before, during, and after model. Now, you've seen this before with our comic strip that we made with our space pod, where we look at something before something occurs, during some sort of action or during some sort of event, and then the change that's caused by that event. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to add these velocity and force arrows to kind of get this final after force image here to be correct and to actually make sense. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we need to infer about. So we have an object in the before that has no velocity features. It has no force features, meaning we could infer that object A here in the before force, okay, has a velocity of 0. So what do I mean when I say infer? I mean, I was able to draw a conclusion using evidence and reasoning to support kind of that final conclusion. So what was my evidence and reasoning? So my evidence and reasoning kind of breaks down into two parts. The evidence is I don't have any observable features here. So that's my evidence. Again, no velocity, no force. So reason says that if I have none of those, I can then kind of draw the conclusion that, well, this object has a velocity of 0. So I'm looking at my before force. I'm using the evidence of what's in the box to kind of draw a conclusion using some reasoning, okay? So I have an object that has a velocity of 0. And in this middle section here, I have to apply some sort of force to create this after force image that we see here. So I wouldn't want to add any velocity necessarily to this part of the model, okay? And notice what happens when I try to do that. It doesn't quite work, okay? In this section, you're going to be adding different force arrows in order to figure out what goes here. So let's take a look at some things that we could do. Number one, if I add a force arrow, okay, two things are happening. Number one, we're using the size of the arrow to tell you how big the force is, small, medium, large, and we're using the direction that the arrow is pointing to tell you the direction of the force. So if I applied this force in this direction, okay, we would probably see a different velocity tail, or the velocity tail would be pointing in a different direction. So the direction of the velocity of the object is indicated by where the tail is. So for example, in my after force, the tail's on the left side, so that actually means the object is moving to the right, okay? So the velocity is on the left, the object's moving to the right. So I would need some sort of force, okay, in a specific direction to create this. So the size of the force matters and the direction of the force matters, okay? So I see a specific velocity here. I see a specific direction of that velocity. There's my evidence. So I now need to infer in my force section here what size and direction arrow I need and where I need to place it on my object. So does it need to be a small force going right, a small force going left? Does it need to be a medium force going right or a medium force going left? Okay, what do I need to add in my during force to create my after force image here? Okay, now notice we have our before, during, after. We have all of our different features. We have this cause and effect relationship we're creating where the cause is some sort of force and the effect is the velocity that's created. So if you feel like you have a really strong understanding of this, if you feel like you understand how to use the features and how to show that cause and effect relationship correctly with those different features, okay, you're ready to hop back into your task one and complete the survey and then move on to the next step. If you have questions, reach out to me. Otherwise, good luck.